Nick's Bistro. I remember this place pretty well. A buddy of mine had recommended it, and it was actually back in 2019 that I went there for the first time. Great thing is that it was the first place I ever tried out some beef tartare for myself. Tried that at a very late stage of my life, but you know what they say, better late than never. Or in the case of beef tartare, which is essentially raw cow, because anyone who's seen that probably knows it from the Mr. Bean episode where Mr. Bean gets it into the restaurant and he's hiding it everywhere on the table, inside the waiter's clothing, and you name it, there's an orifice, he's gonna put it there. Anyways, everyone, welcome to another edition of the Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe. So, in case you're wondering what the heck is up with the new hat, as much as I love the fedora, I had to think practically now because it is getting close to minus 20 with the wind chill, so I gotta protect myself. Don't want to give myself frostbite, headaches, I don't want to lose an ear, because let's face it, I already know I'm not Vincent van Gogh. Maybe not the best comparison because that guy had more problems than you could think. But yeah, I decided to come around into Montreal, and I have a little idea for an excursion I wanted to do, so let's follow along. Now before we continue along, just remember to, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button below so you can get updates on future content I'm producing, whether it's a project at home, new recipe, a microbrewery I want to highlight, possibly, I don't know, more wandering activities. Yeah, I do a lot of that stuff, and I like to share it. Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. No, I'm not thinking about the night before Christmas. I'm thinking about how crazy it is at this time of the year, or at least what we're dealing with now. In case you're outside of Canada, then let me explain. We're currently still in the next wave of the pandemic, and all businesses now are pretty much closed on Sundays here for who knows how long. Basically, the only things that could be kept open are corner stores, convenience stores, gas stations, pharmacies, and sometimes even some restaurants and coffee shops that do takeout, so not a whole lot of activity. There's still quite a few people out and about for walks, and probably go get some food too. Very strange time that we live in now. In fact, when I look back at this in a few years, this is probably going to be a very weird document of this time period. Alright, made my way right here to Saint-Laurent Boulevard, or Boulevard Saint-Laurent if you're living in Quebec. So, I probably mentioned this in a few of my videos in the past, but actually all streets are going to pass by in Montreal around here is going to have an east side and a west side. Once you get to Saint-Laurent, that is where it kind of divides. Yeah, that's how it works. I didn't know it for a long time, but now it makes kind of sense. So what's on the agenda? Well, you know me, I like doing long walks, I do like doing long excursions, and believe it or not, I actually did a long stretch of this street ages ago. I got from around this point, and then kept going further north until I was able to hit the Metropolitan or Highway 40. Any of you who are living around the Montreal area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So it was pretty far up that I got there. But really, even if it takes a bit of time, it's really not that hard to get from the south side to the center side of Montreal. And you can see some neat stuff along the way too. Made with love. Not sure if that's false advertising or not. Oh. Yeah, right beside me is an old venue that was called Catacombs. I heard about this in the past. I only went there once with a couple of friends ages ago. We were having some, I think one of their relatives was coming from Peru, and we were hanging out at a whole bunch of these bars. And this spot was actually pretty neat. It's one of those that it would be a live music venue. None of the major bands that I know of, just like local ones. There's a bit of metal, death metal, lots of growls. Had Le Trou de Diable on tap, so I couldn't complain about that. It was a lot of fun to be there. And one of my friends I was with said, because he's from Holland, that these kind of clubs are like everywhere over there. So he's kind of used to this kind of vibe. Really neat. Again, only been there once, but I'm glad I got to experience it before it closed down. Damn shame. So if any of you had remembered Labyrinth, a store that was on St. Catherine that sold some band t-shirts, closed down ages ago, and there's very few left I'm finding around the island. This happens to be one of them with a pretty good selection. But the one downside I remember too was the one time I did walk in, I was looking for a band shirt that was for, what was it? Oh yeah, I remember. It was Celtic Frost, or Celtic Frost. I never know which is the right way to pronounce it. Yeah, I wanted one of those, because it's one of those metal bands that I freaking love. And I might have mentioned it in the past too. But yeah, I wanted a shirt, and they did have it. It just cost like $100 because it was a vintage one. So apparently if you get vintage shirts, then yeah, you're going to pay an arm and a leg for it. Possibly another appendage too, but we're not going to get into that. Alright, while I said that I was going to be doing a Saint-Laurent trip, I had to do a detour because I was so close to this place. So you already know me, I love microbreweries. And one of the first ones I really started to try out when I was kind of getting into it is Benelux. I know there's a logic to the name of it, I just forget what it is. This is around the Place des Arts area over here in Montreal. Some pretty good stuff. Nice terrace whenever they have it open for the summertime. And they have one of my favorite white beers, the Gaia Blend. The taste of it is almost like it's a bit crisp, fruity, orangey, I suppose. Almost similar to Kronenbourg 1664, but the white, but not the blonde. There's also a second location that's around Verdun on the Wellington Plaza, which could actually be another video to do down the road. But yeah, it's really good stuff. If you were in the area, you want nice microbrews, you know, instead of the usual Labatt, Molson, or whatever, highly recommended. And now time to get back to my regular destination. Oh yes, Mckibben's Irish Pub. The location I'm pretty familiar with is the one that's close to Concordia, but this one is actually a pretty neat one. I've been there like once or twice, I would say. Same menu, same good beer, same good food. Man, really crazy to think that everything is closed. A little further north, and I've got to Prince Arthur Street. My main point of reference for this, a whole bunch of restaurants on this little pedestrian area here. At the time, it was mostly Greek restaurants. I haven't really paid attention as much, so I can't really tell you what's there now. But it was kind of neat. Oh yeah, there's also Cafe Campus, music venue / bar. We actually had a Christmas party there once of all places. So yeah, you're probably thinking, like, how do I have a Christmas party at a music venue? Simple enough. It's back in the old days of HMV, like before we lost to... They just stopped doing Christmas parties. But essentially, it was a bunch of guys that decided to rent out the place, and a lot of them were also musicians too. So it's a way to get a couple of bands on the stage with different styles, and it's kind of neat. Almost a way of seeing what some people's hobbies were outside of work. Gotta admit, people can be very creative and you don't realize it. We've all got hidden talents, everyone. I don't know what my hidden talent is because I've shown off a lot of my talents, but we'll keep discovering that stuff. Keanu Reeves, Goku, and what's-his-face, that the rapper, I guess. This is one of the weird cases that you have three things that shouldn't belong together, all together. Okay, 1 second, and... Alright. I just crossed Pine Avenue now, which is the northernmost street of the downtown area, and the border between the downtown, the core of Montreal, and the Mount Royal Plateau. So I've already crossed into another area. See? Not that hard to walk along. Ooh, now this is a nice spot too. La Vieille Europe. It's a little grocery store. It has a whole bunch of Italian delicacies, stuff from Italy. You got cuts of meat that are from Poland, Eastern Europe, Hungary, you name it, it's all there. Pretty good amount of stuff there. I was also surprised that in the Polish section they had some head cheese over there. That is a pretty gnarly sounding thing. And when I looked up what it really is, then yeah, it is kind of nasty to prepare too. Maybe if I'm one day brave enough, I'll buy some and do a taste test for everyone to see. Well, okay, so just to reiterate again, it's crazy the time we live in that all stores are closed, but it's also crazy that I'm right by Schwartz's Deli, and there's no lineup to get in there. It's very strange, because whenever you go, there's always a line of people to go in, and it's one of those places that's so cramped and crowded that you can't really fit that many people. The smoky is pretty unique, shall we say, because the way they make it, when I've had it, my understanding is that it tastes a bit more if you take a brisket and make it more like a piece of meat that kind of falls apart, as opposed to the usual smoked meats that you get where just some, I guess, liquefied smoked meat or whatever it is that it kind of slices off very thin. It is good, stands out, but I wouldn't say it's the end-all be-all smoked meats that everyone says to say, that has a tendency to say. I mean, there's always other good ones here. Just the fact that there's a musical based on Schwartz's Deli, that'll always be like somebody decided to put a Broadway show about New York-style cheesecake. Good stuff, but that's a bit over the top. And there's other stuff of that story too. They say like it's so good because of 80 years worth of spice and grease that are in the walls. Apparently that affects the taste of the brisket. Can we just say that maybe if you have all this grease in your walls, you really should renovate the place and avoid a mold problem? I don't know. Food for thought. This park's called Parc du Portugal. Apparently I'm in the Portuguese district of Montreal and I didn't know. That's new. Pretty neat furniture over here. And appropriately enough, the name of the place is Dubois. So it could either be the last name Dubois, or to say literally that it's made of wood. You look at this and you think to yourself, I see what you did there. Oh yeah, so continuing my walk up north, I'm now around Montreal Avenue, still within the heart of the plateau. One area that I walked around a lot, and very soon I'm going to get a pretty neat view of the mountain. Mount Royal, that is, hence the name of the street. That is to say, I was hoping to get a shot of the mountain, except the sun was in the way. Ah well, maybe next time when it's a bit, when the weather's a little different and meteorology is not playing against me. Bloody hell. Whew. Yeah, one thing I keep forgetting to mention is the further up north on the Montreal Island you walk, you're going to be going continuously uphill. Probably because of the way that the Mount Royal was laid down, or how it was. So yeah, you're going to get your exercise worth. Who needs a gym membership when you just walk north, and in the cold no less, to give yourself a maximum force in your muscles? That ought to work off the beer belly. Oh boy. Well, I just crossed by St. Joseph Boulevard, still on Saint-Laurent. Yeah, all streets seem to be named after a saint over here. Whether or not they're all saints in the past, I can't tell you. Needless to say, looks like I've crossed into Mile End now. Place I've hung around quite a bit in the last little while. It's a bit like the Plateau in some ways. It does have a bit of a different character in some places, but it's kind of nice. So, one of the things I enjoyed a lot is all the hole-in-the-wall restaurants and coffee shops. Because, going back to my background, I live in a suburb. I live off island of the Montreal Island, so a lot of the stuff that I see here, I'm not going to find. The hole-in-the-wall mom-and-pop coffee shops and restaurants are very few and far between in my neighborhood. If you want a coffee, you might get a few small shops. Some that sell brands you can even get at a grocery store. Or at best, you go to Tim Hortons, Starbucks, or the Mad Clown Parlor. Not exactly ideal here. Feels like you have a whole bunch of smaller shops that make their own blends of beans and brews, and you get a lot of variety in it. So that's one thing I kind of enjoy. So I guess I'll continue up and share a few other highlights. Okay, Laurier Avenue. And I'm right in front of a Cibois. It's a microbrewery that was originally created in Sherbrooke, but they also have a location right here. And I did stop by for a drink when I was doing my little bagel excursion back in September. So that was a kind of a nice way to discover it. And it's pretty nice. Good variety as well. Apparently you can even get takeout now too for this stuff, which is kind of amazing. As for the decor, I wouldn't be surprised if this used to be a Laurentian bank in the day, because this kind of looks like the same style that it would have had. Larry's. I guess it's appropriate to be on Saint-Laurent and be at Larry's. And, huh? Oh, there's a little place that's called Chez Ta Mère. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a play on your mother's cooking or it's supposed to be taken as an insult. Anything could happen. Oh yeah, Burger Deville. I have had that before. Pretty intense one. I think I had like maybe a burger, ham. It was an intense one, and I don't want to say there was a fried egg in there, but it wouldn't surprise me if I had one with a fried egg. Some of these burger places are getting out of control. Of course, if you go to La Belle et la Barbe, then you know that they got a few other crazy, intense ones. So much so that some of them are so, maybe not toxic, but so filling, you actually have to sign a waiver before you order it. How insane is that? You got to sign a waiver before you want to eat a burger of all things. I guess one day that a burger's going to become a nuclear weapon and we're all doomed. Well, Ubisoft. Yep, if you've ever played an Assassin's Creed game before, just know this is where it was developed. Pretty fun stuff to think about. And I'm slowly going to be approaching St. Viateur Street for my last excursion. I was going to get some bagels. In fact, I might actually go down there. There's a few other fun things I want to show off. What the? So, Dragon Ball Z, Chrono Trigger, Celine Dion. Seriously? It's another case of these three things shouldn't be together, and yet here they are. What the hell? Waverly Bar, someplace I've passed by a few times, and what? Hang on. Huh. So I could have sworn that there was something I saw called Whiskey Cafe close by here that I was told about. I would honestly hope that they do have some whiskey available to try out, because if it's anything like Il Noir with their massive amount of whiskey, I am so there. Le Roi du Taco, or El Rey del Taco, I guess. May not be a chain. All I know is that I've had that one at the Jean Talon Market ages ago, and I liked it. Cute little hole-in-the-wall place again. I seem to love those hole-in-the-walls. And I'm not talking about the other stuff. Okay, where am I at? Waverly now. Okay, Waverly Bar is actually a little before Waverly Street. But here's a neat little place. Cafe Olimpico. Something that you're going to find if you're around this area, especially in these days. Trying to find a coffee shop open past 8 o'clock is a real pain in the ass. This is one of the few of them that seems to be open past 8, and actually until 11, believe it or not, so it does get a lot of business, especially at night. And it has a really neat terrace over here too, at the summertime. It's definitely worth checking out. The last time I was here on a walk, I do remember seeing a whole bunch of people standing around chatting for coffee and visiting, so I guess there is that. It's a very Italian style place. And I know it's an Italian style place because I remembered there's flags of all the provinces and cities of Italy there, which brought back some memories of my trip to Italy back in 2019. In fact, if you want to see that, you just click on the card in the top right corner and you can watch that again for old time's sake. So it was nice. And one of my little discoveries there too was getting a donut, but then filled with the same kind of ricotta cheese as you can get in a cannoli. And I thought, how awesome is that? I love that cannoli filling, but put that in a really soft donut, sprinkle with a whole bunch of cinnamon and sugar, and oh man, you're probably going to have a little orgasmic reaction to it. And then if it gets intense enough, then people will look around, go inside and say, I'll have what he's having. Yep, I went there. So I think I'm going to get myself a coffee. Not a cold coffee, which they call Cafe Fredo over here, because when I think Fredo, I think The Godfather. Yeah, ended up with a latte. Good stuff. I could have shown you me drinking the latte, but truth be told, it was either try to record myself or have a coffee, because I'm not going to be recording myself with a coffee with both my hands uncovered and me freezing my appendages off. Next time I'll be able to do that. But it's good, highly recommended. And actually, in case you aren't in the Mile End area, you want to have some of that coffee, go to Old Montreal, because there are apparently 2 locations there. One near the port, one somewhere else around Old Montreal. Might have to make an excursion over there one of these days. Nevertheless, still doing my walk along Saint-Laurent, and I've just gone, going to be under some railroad tracks. Hang on. Okay, it's not so bad. I was afraid that it would get so dark that you basically think I'm walking in the shadows. But I'm making my way close to Rosemont now. Old familiar territory for me. And actually a few other places I could think about that's worth showing off too. Yep, always something to discover, I suppose. Alright. There's another music place I remember checking out back in the heyday of me checking out for used records. I think it was called Nice Music, but it always goes by the subtitle of Le Fins Vinyl, or in English it was always The Death of Vinyl. It's a pretty ironic name considering that the vinyl boom still seems to be going pretty strong these days. And now, seems like I've made my way to Bullpen Avenue, which is actually a street that I'm more than familiar with because of my time, but you already know that too. There's one store that was pretty interesting I think I should highlight. What the? Romeo e Cafe. So, Romeo and coffee? You know what? I agree with that sentiment. Romeo should have dumped Juliet and gone for coffee. Would have saved himself. So, I'm in front of a store that's called Peluso, and this is something I passed by a lot before when I was around the area to visit other friends, but it looks like that what they have in the window normally is a whole bunch of microbrewery stuff, and plenty of selection I haven't seen anywhere else too, so it's always awesome to look at. It's always one of those things that you never think to look at until after the fact. Better late than never, I guess. I can step inside to take a look at it. Actually, this is the beauty of it. Sunday convenience stores are open. This is technically a convenience store, so I think I'm going to go in and find out what goodies I got. Okay, everyone, and... oh, wait a second. Forgot I was wearing this thing. Nevertheless, masks everywhere. Anyways, everyone, I did take a look around, and I found a few good ones, so I'm definitely going to want to possibly highlight them for you all down the road. Just do a little review of all the beers that I have at home, with some funny stories and funny jokes I could try to come up with as best as possible, because I love you all and I want to give you the best material I can. So, instead of continuing up Saint Laurent, I decided I was going to get to Bullpen Street and continue east a little bit, because A, Saint Laurent north of Bullpen is going to be Little Italy, and I feel like that I could cover in another video alone one day, even though I've already been there before. And the second thing is, well, it's getting close to 4 o'clock now, and I feel like it is Sunday after all. I should probably head home, start to unwind before the sun goes down, because that's when the vampires start to appear. At least I think they're vampires. But no, really, all this to say that I should probably head home and start relaxing to end my weekend. So everyone, thanks for watching this edition of the Wanayuki Cheese Cafe. So if you like what you see, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to the channel below, and in the comment section, if you have an idea of what I could cover in a future episode, go right ahead and post it, and I'll see what I could do. Catch y'all later, everyone. What the? Yeah. This thing was under construction, but this actually used to be a Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts. It always goes back to that.